the night against the wind-driven rain. 8 kilometers east to the farm, 15 in the opposite direction to Graves Corners, and between the two, nothing but the occasional dilapidated storage barn. She was going to have to drive to get help, and that meant moving her victim off the car. And if she had to move him, she had to take him with her too, because she couldn't just leave him injured in the rain at the side of the road. As if to underscore her thoughts, lightning streaked again through the dark, and thunder rumbled ominously close. Trees groaned under a fresh onslaught of wind, and a branch sailed out of the dark to land on the station wagon's roof. Kate flinched. Hell. She wiped a trickle of rainwater from the tip of her nose as she considered the problem of how to wrestle 200 pounds of dead weight off the car hood and into the back seat. Then she grimaced. Perhaps dead weight might not be the best description under the circumstances. She slid through the mud to the passenger side and tugged on boot-clad feet, grunting as she dragged her victim toward her. If he did have internal injuries, this wasn't going to help matters, but she really didn't have a choice. And if her injury had objected to driving and moving boxes, it really wasn't going to like this next part. The man's legs slid off the hood, and the rest of him followed. Too fast. Kate grappled his arm across her shoulders, only just managing to keep him upright. White heat flared through her collarbone, searing down her left arm to set her fingertips ablaze. She squeezed her eyes shut against the wave of nausea and waited it out. The pain receded to an angry throb. Grimly, Kate forced her knees straight and adjusted her estimate of her victim's size. The man stood at least 6'4", and she'd put his weight at a good 220. She'd be lucky if he didn't squash her own not inconsequential 5'8" frame before she got him loaded into the car. Keeping her victim wedged between her and the vehicle, she inched along the station wagon's side until she could prop him against the rear panel. Fingers numb with cold, she opened the back door, and with way more determination than finesse, wrestled him into the back seat. Then, fire-hot teeth sinking into her shoulder and fresh nausea roiling in her belly, she collapsed across him. Friggin' hell, that hurt. By the time she got this guy to a hospital, she'd need medical attention herself. Gritting her teeth, she waited for her breathing to slow and her heart to stop behaving like a sledgehammer. Then she levered herself upright, sidestepped the legs hanging out of the car, and slogged around to pull open the other door. The wind pushed back her hood in another wet gust as she reached in with her uninjured arm to grasp a fistful of wet t-shirt. Lightning flared again. She blinked against the flare and flinched at the crack of thunder that followed overhead. That storm was scarily close. Bracing a knee against the doorframe, Kate tugged grimly at her unwieldy passenger. Centimeter by centimeter, the man slid into the vehicle. Then, when she could pull no more, she slammed the door, returned to the other side, and tucked her victim's feet out of the door's way. She brushed the sopping hair from her eyes as she straightened again, and froze. Her fingers weren't just wet. They were sticky. Rainwater wasn't sticky. She reached into the station wagon and held her hand under the dim interior light. Dark, viscous fluid covered her fingers. Her heart kicked against her ribs. Blood. Lots of blood. Muttering curses under her breath, Kate maneuvered around to the front passenger door and opened it to rummage through the glove box. She located a flashlight amid the years of accumulated papers and oddities. Weak light glowed when she switched it on. Not much, but better than nothing. She returned to the back seat and leaned in to tug the man's black t-shirt from the waistband of his jeans. Directing the flashlight's beam onto pale skin, she saw what she'd missed before in the dark. Crimson, seeping from a neat hole in the flesh below his left ribcage. A bullet hole. He'd been shot. Kate sucked in a quick, shocked breath, but didn't doubt her observation for so much as a nanosecond. She'd seen too many gunshot wounds in her 13 years with the RCMP to mistake this for anything else. And she still had the vivid memory of her own wound, too. She lifted her head and scanned the surroundings as she ran through the possibilities. Hunting accident? Wrong time of year, and this guy wasn't dressed for the bush. Domestic dispute? Unlikely. There wasn't another farm around for miles, and she didn't think he could have walked far like this. The wound didn't look self-inflicted either. Which left the possibility that someone had deliberately brought him out to the middle of nowhere and left him for dead. It was an unsettling possibility at best, and she, for one, didn't care to be here